Deanna Gamble, and I'm a fifth-year PhD candidate in the Genetics and Genomics program here at Duke. And I'm here to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Dr. Ruthie D. Lyle is the first African-American woman to earn a doctorate in electrical engineering from New York University's Tandon School of Engineering, previously Polytechnic University. Her career began at IBM and spanned approximately 14 years. She held positions in hardware and software design, intellectual property management, and technical project management. She has distinguished herself as an innovation thought leader. She's earned over 164 issued patents and is believed to have the most inventions for any Black woman in the world, which is amazing. She successfully passed the patent bar and is a registered United States Patent and Trademark Office, USPTO, patent agent with credentials to prosecute patent applications before the USPTO. She is perhaps the first African American to hold the title of IBM Master Inventor and lead IBM Enterprise Patent Review Boards. Her current interest in the startup scene stems from two factors: a lack of diversity in the technical startups and the trend towards innovation originating in startups rather than in large established corporations. She has an interest in understanding, partnering with, and participating with startup communities. She recently completed her MS degree in technology commercialization from UT Austin's McComb School of Business, which included an opportunity to go from idea to business model development to participation in pitch competitions. Currently, Ruthie is a lead research engineer with USAA Chief Technology Office of Research. She explores emerging technologies and turns ideas into customized and new business solutions. She celebrates the USAA mission and is strongly committed to USAA's core values: service, loyalty, honesty, and integrity. Ruthie is a wife, a mother, and an avid supporter of education and activities that encourage women and underrepresented minorities to pursue careers in STEM fields. She also enjoys recreation learning. So without further ado, please welcome Ruthie, Dr. Ruthie D. Lyle.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so very happy to be here. When I look out, I just see like golden opportunities throughout this room. Thank you for coming in the rain to hear me speaking for the other things that are on the program. I want to thank Dr. Joanna Pearson for inviting me today and the Pratt School of Engineering. I was pleased to be invited. So this topic we're going to talk about is very personal for me. I believe that I've experienced a lot of what I'm going to share with you. And so our talk is going to be about women of color in STEM, the double bond. We're going to look at the social, economic, and ethical impacts of this dilemma. All right, so I just wanted to start and say what I share today is not associated with any organization I'm affiliated with, my employer, anything like that. This is Ruthie speaking to you. You gotta have a disclaimer. All right, so if you usually don't read a slide, I'm going to read this one to you, kind of highlight it. So today we're going to explore the double bond, like sexism that women experience in STEM. We're going to start by using some data from the National Science Foundation to kind of build a story of why this is really a dilemma, and then we're going to talk about some things that can be done to improve what's happening in this space. So I wanted to point out that this document is available online. I recommend you pull it and just take a look at it. It has some really eye-opening data sets in it. And also you can get the raw data set. So if someone does data analytics and want to actually do some kind of computation and do some original work on that, that would probably be good, because if it's NSF data, you can try to get an NSF grant. It's saying, to make it happen. All right, so let's go with the definition. So double bond, I would say, is first a person of color first. That's the first problem, or first issue challenge. And the second thing is they're a woman. So I want to be very clear in that order. A person of color and then a woman. And I propose that because of these two things, they experience a double bond, which is a challenge to their experience in STEM. We live in a society that proposes genderlessness. You know, everybody has to blend and be the same. But I take a different approach. I say men and women are different, and that's fine. It's not that men are better or women are better, but we're complementary together. And so I wanted to start by sharing what I think are some unique traits that women possess that uniquely position them to do science and engineering. So first, I think women have a unique perspective. We see things differently than perhaps a man would see it. Be it our culture, our innate God-given abilities, we just have a different perspective. We are definitely team builders. I was sitting at a table just talking with Dr. Fearson about being a professional and also having a family, having children. We manage lots of things. We build teams in our workplaces, we build teams at home, and if we're going to do social things, you're part of an organization, you're going to build teams too. So we're very good at making collaborative environments, and we multitask well. And most of all, we're strong communicators. And I wanted to say something about that in particular. When you work on a topic, when you really get excited is when you have the big picture idea. If you've ever worked with someone who can't give you the big picture, you just see a small part. You don't see how what you're doing fits into the overall problem that's being solved. And a lot of passion can come when you see the big picture. So for people who can communicate and share ideas, build vision, there's a powerful tool that I think women have. We do it very well. That we could actually apply to science and engineering. But with all of those things that are favorable, we do have challenges. I group these, they're color-coded to kind of talk about stages of a career. And maybe in the beginning is the yellow. We don't have role models. You know, it's not a cultural norm, maybe, to do something in a particular science area that you're interested in. That's probably early on. Maybe once you get through the process, you have a work-life balance. You've been in school. You want to get married. You want to have a spouse or a family. So there's things that affect that. I mean, we know that your body is a prime time to make children, and so there's different trade-offs you have to make. And we also know that going through, especially a graduate program in engineering, is very stressful, so it can be challenging. So these are things like unique challenges that women have to face. I don't think men have to face those. And then the other thing is once you get near the end of your career, you realize you need to have mentors and sponsors, and maybe you've never learned how to develop relationships where you can really facilitate that. When you have a sponsor over a mentor maybe someone you bounce ideas off of, you get feedback, you're about to do something, you ask a question. A sponsor is someone in an organization who has enough authority to take you from one position and put you in another position, one organization to another organization, or elevate your career. This is the person that will speak for you in the room when you're not in the room with the executives, and they do the 5-minute drill. And they say put the names on the board. These are the people who are key to our organization. These are the people who those are sponsors that we did. So near the end of your career, it's like, do I like what I'm doing? Am I going to stay in this? Am I going to make a career change? So I say these are the stages of challenges across the potential challenges across a career. This is not exhaustive, but it's an example of the challenges that women face. So we in fact do have a double bond, but we can really talk about it in light of data. So this is a report that I referenced earlier, and so this report talks about the number of people who are in engineering programs from an academic perspective, the people who are working in industry from an occupation. So I took a sample. This is a very long document. This is not all the data. What I wanted to do was take data to kind of build a story to in fact make you agree with me. I'm trying to pitch this to make you agree that there is in fact a double bond, and the data shows it. No emotion, just data. All right, so we'll start with the first one. Let me just explain this. This is a subset of data taken 1995, 2004, and 2014. Now, I did look to see if there was a 2019 doc. I still saw the 2017 doc with some data from 2018. So I feel like this is still representative of what's happening today. If you look, it's grouped. So we have, at the bottom, we have bachelor, master's, and PhD. And then we have the color codes to represent the years. Here on the right, we have the exact count, the number of women that's a count. Here we have the percentage. So one thing you can see is that over these years, the number of women who are earning degrees in engineering has gone up. So we can look right here and we can see that bachelor's degrees went from 10,000 to 18,000. We can also see, like, if you jump to the other end of the scale, the doctorates were about 700, they more than doubled. So when I looked at that, I said, it seems to me that women who are now in the pipeline are seeing opportunities to go to graduate school. And so maybe that's why the number is increasing. This is all like, well, I don't have any data to show that that's true, but that's one thing the data could be saying. And also, we'll see later that the number of people who are entering science and engineering for women is falling. So that's why we can see maybe the rate of growth here for bachelor's degrees is not as aggressive as the rate of growth for doctorate degrees. But overall, we are earning more degrees in engineering. This is women. This is white women, Asian women, Hispanic women. This is women. Okay? So now we're going to take a look at African American women only, and again over that same range. And the purple line is engineering. This is a sample. This is taken in one state, one instance, right here, of the data. So we have percent again versus year, and then each line represents these different areas, right? So you can see for engineering that back in '96 we were low, and we were above 1%. Now it's falling, right? And if you look at computer science, you can also see that it's falling. So something's happening there. And even though we are getting more degrees, something is falling. So why is that? One thing I wanted to point out is, like, you can see that the higher share is in these two areas, psychology and social sciences. Not saying we're not going to school, we're just saying we're not going for engineering and computer science at a consistent rate. So now we looked at women, we looked at African American women in terms of enrollment in science programs. Now we're looking at employed, people who are employed. And the one thing that just jumps out here to me is, like, you can see where the action is. It's not a whole bunch of action, that's 20%, but that's where it's at. And when you look at engineering, it's much smaller. That is, more in these areas. Okay, so now we're looking at science and engineering, men and women, all ethnicity groups. And the first thing that should just jump out at you is this. That's like half the pie. And, when you look at this, which is black women, it's very small. Hispanic women, 2%. Asian women do better. But it's a really small number. And when you look at that, when we talk later about the economic impact, then this will have really a whole lot more meaning, because it's tied to economics. It's tied to what happens in society, what gets investigated, what money goes to what is important in studying and research, that's when it matters. Because when you have a choice, you have a position of power to choose. We're going to research here, we're going to do this. You want a more diverse perspective, is what I propose. So we jump into these charts quick. I'm trying to make sure I explain I'm building my story, or building a story of what I perceive is happening. So now we're looking at people in 2015, that's the year, and why, so the presumption is here that they have the degrees in engineering science, so why aren't they working in these areas? So URM means underrepresented minority and women. And you have these three types. You have family, job, layoff, and retirement. So the first thing you can see is that white men, over 70% of the time, the reason they're not working is because they're retired. And what you can see for the other groups, that may not be the case. White women are not far, they're at 50, that's 70. What we can also see is that one of the main reasons women say are not working is family. That's true for white women, very true for Asian women, and true for underrepresented women. So that says women, there's a stage in life where they have a responsibility for their family. That's what I'm interpreting here. So he can't have the baby. She has to have the baby. She's the one who's usually the nurse, the caregiver, and provider for the baby. I mean, it's just the way it is. But going out and coming back after doing that can be challenging in engineering and science because things move so fast. What you were looking at, 3 years ago, especially if you do it like a doctor, unless you're keeping up with what's happening in the literature, you can get left behind. But it is challenging. So when I gave that data, I gave this talk at the John Hope Franklin Center here at Duke. And people asked me about the population, so I found this chart, and it shows that really white men are 31% of the population. White women on average in the year that this was taken, 2015. But we have 49%. It's the same story, but it shows it with relation to population. So if you see black women, which are 7% of the population, are only 2% active in science and engineering. And even Hispanic women are 8% of the population and 2%. Just women in general, when you see the population numbers, you say, okay, well, if they're 30%, why are they 50%? If they're 30% of the population, why are they 50% in these occupations? What does that all mean? So, Michelle's pretty strong. This is a good picture. It says, don't be scared of the data. And, it's just an opportunity to improve what we currently have in terms of our systems that produce our engineers, the places that we work. This is an opportunity. So there is an economic impact. So Silicon Valley is hot. It's been in the news. They have, I think the average home price in Silicon Valley is $450,000 a year. And that's for like a 1,200 square foot home. And it's not new. It's just a very hot area. And, they've produced a lot of tech billionaires. These are people who come with a startup idea. They go, they create it, and they go off and make these companies. And in this article actually says maybe 74 billionaires are in Silicon Valley. And so there was a quote here that I thought was really good. Wealth in the tech society can strike like oil with the right idea, the right time, and in the right luck. But the first thing, if you guys remember, it's been in the news that Silicon Valley has been accused of not being diverse. And when asked to produce the numbers from their employees, what kind of roles they were in, it was confirmed that there's low representation. And so although this is dated 2015, Jesse Jackson, who's like the son of North Carolina since he went students at North Carolina A&T. Went to Google and was like, you got to hire diversity, blacks and Latinos. He was calling for it. So we have an area that's producing wealth, that's producing technologies, that's changing our society. We don't have diversity there. That's a problem. That's what I'm pitching. That is a problem. This goes one step further to say, you know, the numbers are so bad. This is the workforce diversity report comparing Silicon Valley to the U.S. in general. And the question was, how diverse are Silicon Valley's offices and executive suite? So I want to read this to you, this quote, and it really resonates. I empathize with managers who don't consider racial disparity to be an issue worth resolving. This is being said by someone who's actively participating as a science and engineering person in the workforce. Those who do not experience its effects firsthand will find it difficult to give it credence. But to put oneself in the mindset of a minority employee isn't much of a stretch. Imagine for a moment being the only white man at a bachelorette party. You know what happened at a bachelorette party? A whole bunch of talking going on. Or the only woman at a packed nightclub. There's nothing wrong with it, intrinsically wrong with it, but it's an unnerving feeling. And after a while, you may just withdraw to yourself, speak less. You need backup. You need people who look like you. So, Hidden Figures, everyone saw this movie, and one thing that, you know, was very apparent to me is with the talent that this group of women had, they were willing to risk the success of the space program by not leveraging a resource that they had because she was a black woman. I was born with a very small baby year or something, but it was a time when there was a rush or a race to show who could go to space first. There was a lot of things. It wasn't just science tied into that. And then you had this group, and of course these are actors, but there were people behind it who had special skills. This woman, she goes and she gets a manual for the IBM mainframe. Who can write COBOL in here? Who knows my IBM mainframe? Besides the man who can't work. Okay, so IBM mainframes were very difficult. Like if you want to, they're very secure, they're very resilient, and there's a reason why they're written to be like self-sustaining. It's not a very easy system to learn. In the movie, which I don't know if it's exactly like this in real life, but IBM sent folks who were specialists to come install that system, and they couldn't install it. But she had a unique perspective. One, she was already able to fix her car. She was an auto mechanic. Two, she ran her family. She was active in her church. She knew how to get these women to work together. So she took the skills she had for automotives, her ability to learn. She got a book and she started learning. And she started programming. Back then you had to do like some circuit setup first. So she was able to do both. And so it was just like an untapped talent. And so when you say, why aren't people like roaming these technology companies, there's money on the West Coast, why not? Well, it's hard to be the only one sometimes. You have to be brave if you're going to be the only one. And so, you know, throughout my career, I've talked to people who say they want to go to the meeting. I'm the only black person at the table for a project. I'm the only woman. I have had black and white women say, do you know the guy asked me to get his coffee? He thought I was the admin. Like, yes, you know, so all along, it's hard to be the only person at the table. And to be quite frank, when you finish an engineering degree, it's like you just want to enjoy yourself and have some fun and relax a little bit. You want to be social. And if you know, thank God for lesbian. I was in lesbian in 1987. Shout out to Region 1 because it made an environment for me. And I'll tell you later when I get to that part about myself. But you know, you want to be in a place where you can have a social life too. You want to be paid for the work that you do. you know, the reports come out all the time. Like they found, I think, just recently, I think when Citibank came out and showed that women weren't being paid the same. Like if we had the same competence and skill, people want to be paid. You know, we had the same investment, the same commitment. So, and we need dynamos to learn from, people we can learn from and model ourselves to make choices, like how do you make these career choices and what do you do? So you need examples. So now I'm going to play a video. And so let me set up the video. So this was featured on CNN Black in Silicon Valley. The opening person that's going to speak is the guy who kind of founded TechCrunch.com. They talk about all the new technologies and review what's happening in the tech scene. And then it's going to pan to a set where there's Black entrepreneurs who come to Silicon Valley. They have these things where you apply. We have American Underground here. You apply, you go for 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 11 weeks. They get your pitch together. They get you in front of venture capitalists. You get them to pitch your idea. So that's the setup for this little clip. And so this should work. Okay, how do I turn it up? I can get the mic in. I don't want to speak.
Asking for money from VCs. I'm not sure if there's enough data. There's so few women and minorities asking for money from VCs. I'm not sure if there's enough data to really know if there's some sort of built-in bias.
Michael Arrington is the founder of the influential Silicon Valley website TechCrunch. Today, a venture capitalist, Arrington is outspoken in his belief that success in the Valley is more merit-based than any other place in the world.
Why do you think there are so few African-American tech entrepreneurs here?
I don't know. And it's something that should be fixed. But I think a lot of it goes back to school. A lot of the successful people here are engineers, because if they are engineers, they have to find an engineer and help them build software or hardware both.
So the pipeline issue.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem.
Who would you say is the #1 Black technology entrepreneur?
You know, that's a weird question. How would you say it's the #1?
I don't cover technology.
I'm trying to think of any Black CEOs in Silicon Valley, and I'm not even coming up with any.
Okay, so the entrepreneurs, the people who are making companies.
I don't know a single Black entrepreneur.
You cover the industry.
I mean, there were.
What does that say?
It's just started. It's not a perfect meritocracy. But generally speaking, it doesn't matter what your education is. It doesn't matter who your parents are here. You can become very successful based purely on your brain size and how you use it.
I have not been in the room recently when somebody said, oh, that's an African-American-led company, I'm not going to invest there. But I guarantee you from personal experience, that's what people are thinking. So I would go toe-to-toe with Michael Arrington and wind up saying, the part that is meritocratic is great, and there's a big part of it that isn't.
Arrington says the rarity of Black entrepreneurs might give them an edge.
This is a white and Asian world here. It just is. It's not a good thing. We have a conference 3 times a year where companies actually launch on stage. We're looking for women and minorities all the time. There's a guy, actually, he was my first client when I was a lawyer. His last company just launched in Oregon, and he's African American. It's a cool startup. His startup's really cool, but he could have launched a clown show on stage, and I would have put him up there. Absolutely. I think it's the first time we've had an African American be the sole founder.
Me and Becky sometimes watch that show, Down Home Cooking with the Neelys. The burgers are almost done.
Among the 25 speakers and mentors who meet with the newbie entrepreneurs, it's Vivek Wadhwa's visit that leaves them speechless.
You know, I think what you're doing is fantastic.
He's a professor at Duke. Wadhwa came to the United States from India in 1980 and founded 2 internet companies that raised $50 million.
Can I be critical of the community? Yeah. You folks don't help each other. In some parts of America, you have this entitlement attitude that we've been discriminated against, assets as came as slaves, and that's what's held the community back. You know, my community did the exact opposite. You know, we didn't, we basically said, all right, there's a problem here, we'll fix it ourselves.
Professor Wadhwa says investors in the Valley practice what's known as pattern matching. They see entrepreneurs who are successful, mainly young white males, and invest in those who fit that pattern.
When I did raise venture capital, my buddies here advised me was, they said, get a white guy to be your front man. And I did that. I had very impressive, 6 foot tall, polished white guy. And let him do all the talking. That's the way it is, I'm telling you. I've done it, okay? I mean, this is like I said, this is how I surmounted the problems. That's the way the system works here. You might as well understand it and then use it to your advantage.
I'm still kind of like speechless.
There's something raw and very direct about it that's, that's a little, it's jarring.
It's very sad. In 2011, it's very sad. We got a black president, and he's not putting no money in my pocket right now directly. So what do we got to do? Play the game until we successful.
There's so many kids in Berkeley or Stanford you can hire.
Professor Wadhwa leaves, and Hank gathers the housemates to talk.
We are alone. We're just us. That's it. There's not that many of us. And so it's kind of weird. We've been here a week and no one's done a demo or showed a screenshot or anything between us. I mean, it's crazy. And I guess we're all just trying to, everyone's so focused on themselves and the silo. And I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm not saying that people are selfish. But I'm saying that we're, who else is going to help you? Who else? We got to figure out how to band together and make something bigger and better and more powerful. Because there's almost none of us. Maybe this is a catalyst, I don't know.
I feel like we have a bigger success working together than we do alone.
We need to have something that comes out of this after 9 weeks.
Get it cracking.
They realize to have any chance of success on demo day, they'll have to work together.
It's not crazy about it. It's something.
Like the simplest feature that will differentiate.
Right. Okay, so that's a good place to start. So, some things that stood out were, to be successful, people have to be engineers. Brain size and how you use it. This is a white and Asian world. And the top one, get a white guy to be your front. Berkeley and Stanford are nearby. So before we judge that professor, one thing we have to say is he's been successful. He's turned 2 businesses. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, you know what? When I look at it again, so it was announced in my bio that I went back to school. It was the only time I paid for education myself. And when I was gone, my mind was saying, what if I had to put my son in private school? Because, we have to have the money. That's my husband on the camera. And he said to me, do it. What I've done my whole career was create these ideas of which IBM owns all of those inventions, and then never really see it, how to take it to market. And I've always held technical roles where, I'm on the technical side, but I don't see anything like the business side. So in that program, I was able to work with a group. We had folks from a bunch of different companies who formed a cohort. Everything was about taking technology into market. We came up with a blockchain solution for 2 things. One was for wine, we did it for small to medium-sized vineyards in Texas. And then we also looked at fair trade coffee that's coming out of Colombia. We went to Colombia International Trade with the team and tried to investigate, understand the market, see if we could get partners. But for the first time, we took a technology like blockchain, which is a decentralized database that's a ledger that's immutable, that provides security to be able to show provenance of a product, and also to be able to help people from a social perspective, because in Colombia, people doing fair trade coffee, small farms, they have to sell their coffee to a bigger group and not be able to make as much money off of that. So I went through that experience. We pitched before venture capitalists and everything. So I've had that experience when you walk and know somebody got $1 billion. He's a billionaire, right? So I've felt that. And so then, now my thought, within a bio is, could diversity be connected, God bless you, with startups, we're in a different time. You know, people won't work for a company for 30 years again. It's like 30 years, go to IBM or something. No one's doing that. It's like people go to get a set of skills and move, change role, and that's where it should be. And, in some sense, if you really want to be an entrepreneur and things like that. In fact, you can even see the change coming with big companies like Bell Labs and IBM no longer have research organizations. They're you know, people, the movement now is see a startup, evaluate it, will it help our business, and acquire the startup. The startup sells, gets a big payday lead. Startups are small, they're agile, they're young people. We don't have it. Oftentimes don't have like family members, they can call all night, they can do crazy stuff that you can't do when you have a family. But so now, like a lot of innovation, you know, is coming out in startup communities. So Ellen Powell she's an engineer undergrad, and she's been very vocal about expressing like criticism of the way Silicon Valley are hiring people. And so the reason why I pointed her out was because in the work that she's doing and what we saw in the video, it seems to imply that diversity could come through startups. And then you in this room who are grad students, the things you're working on, could that be a startup? Is that something you've even thought about doing? So I know every university has a technology transfer office who's dying to make use out of that right over. You know, think about the opportunities that you have. Like, do you really need to work through your, not telling you not to, I'm just saying, understand what you're doing when you go and work with them and realize you have the thing, capability to start your own company. And they don't have to be like ground shaking. Like I was telling you, blockchain, the idea was very simple. You know, IBM had hypervisor, Ethereum, these things were available. The idea was when you start with the distributor is the person on the chain, so they can put information to authenticate the vendor, the time, where it came from. It goes through a modeling process. They can also put a time stamp because you know wine comes in bags and you mix it before it's bottled, so you can make sure that it's authentic. They put a time stamp. It goes on where on the back end, the consumer buys it. The guy who was accused of selling fraudulent wines, I can't think of his name, but he did 60 minutes on him. He sounded like Rothschild, $15,000 bottles of wines that he mixed in his kitchen. And he started out good, but so like people who are buying wines that are like high-end wines, they would love to have act and say, oh, let me scan this. This is authentic Rothschild. This is authentic Nano. This gun hasn't been sold. So we came up with this idea of how to use blockchain to do that. And so it's like, you know, the blockchain technology, we didn't make that up. That was there. But the application of it to a business problem was something that we was trying to do. And so all y'all can do it. I would love to see somebody here do it. Remember me when you're on boards. No. Okay. So now I got a little sidetrack like church. Okay, so she wrote this book. I haven't read the book yet. To be quite honest, I'm learning edge computing, and I'm just that's my area of interest now. And so I have like that in between other reading, but this is a book where she talks about those issues, and so I would recommend it, even though I haven't read it. There's a couple things about her that I like. One, she's Ivy League. Two, she's an EE undergrad, so she gotta be okay. But she, to stand up and speak as an Asian woman in her age group, she looked like she finished undergrad in 91, that would make her about 50. That wasn't common in that generation. So she has a lot of characteristics that make the book worth investigating. So we love science, we respect diversity, and we, you know, all humanity. And there's a response. So this is Mae Jemison. I did meet Mae Jemison. I met Shirley Jackson when I was in graduate school. These women were like bigger than life to me. I met Mae at an ESB convention. So she's a medical doctor, but Shirley Jackson is the first Black PhD in physics from MIT in 76 to 77. And they two very powerful women. She now runs the university. But so we do have a response to what we've heard. The first thing is we won't be discouraged. We know that, you may not know that in 1976, a group got together to talk about how to unravel this double bond. And it was a group that was made up of engineering, science, also people in medicine and dentistry. So that was 1976. It's something that people should be thinking of. This group thought about it for themselves, like how could they put together a system to unravel it. So that comes to like, what can we do? I think like there are many factors that are relevant in terms of retention and success. Academic preparation is like fundamental. You should just know what you're doing academically. The one thing that I found is that when you know this topic, you know, say, okay, so if you're going to do, I use this example in another talk, but if you're going to take a class in physics, it's very good for you to already understand how. Because if I'm trying to teach you what a derivative is, and I'm also trying to teach you how a rate of change of distance with time is velocity, it's going to be very hard for me to teach you that this is a derivative. It's an instantaneous rate of change of a function, right? And also try to teach you, so you're learning that, and then you're trying to think about if I toss this ball up. You don't have time to think at the top it stops. That's a reflective thought. That's a second level thought that comes to you. You have time to study a problem, not trying to word through derivation. Oh, what's going on? I understand that. I'm trying to understand from a physics perspective what's happening. So academic preparation is foundation. Get good at it. I tell my son he hates the practice. Practice is what brings results. If you want to be good, if you want to master it, you have to practice more than what the teacher's asking you to do. You cannot do the set that she's asking you to do. You have to do more. When I was an undergrad, when it really clicked, when I started doing it, they said you have odd problem set, I did the even and the odd. By the time I got to physics, I was jamming thermodynamics. That was my subject. And we had these huge lesson halls. I sat right in front, 45 minutes. I finished in 2 hours. And the only thing I missed was something I had never seen in a problem. What I learned and was preparing for graduate school, you know what you're doing, do problems so you know it, get the study group. Get it. Then you have time to think, oh, well, what does this imply? You have time, but you're not trying to get the little fundamental things. You have time to think beyond, like imagine stuff. And we need role models. Like I give talks here. I've given talks at MIT, NYU, State, Carolina. I've been invited to other places. I like to do it. I want people to know that there are people who have come before them. You can do more than I have done. I actually think you should do more than I have done. I would have liked to have done even more than I've done. We need supportive environments. Diversity and inclusion office at Pratt, that's a blessing from the Lord to have that here. I went to National last Saturday and they talked about Black students fighting for representation of coursework here. The takeover that happened at the Allen building, that was not that long ago. It's a blessing to have that here. And so our response should be our commitment for supporting this, these types of events, reaching back, pulling up, and we need diversity in faculty. When I gave this talk before, someone said, well, everybody who goes in engineering actually goes out and gets a job in industry like you did. And the thing is, there are a lot of circumstances where people have to go through when they decide that they're going to take an academic job or an industry job. In your life, you don't owe everything to the cause. You should choose some things for yourself. But I think it's up to the university to also see the talent of people who are in industry and learn how to leverage them. They shouldn't have to have, I believe there could be a hybrid between an academic appointment and an industry appointment. And that's that. I won't go on that topic, but I have a passion here. So this is, I'll give a flavor of this talk before, but not included this, and this was because it was requested. So this is my story. So what you see here on your left and right, on the left is cotton, and it's grown in the south part, the southeast, and so is tobacco. And in the 1950s and 60s, blacks would go from the south to the north. It's called the Great Migration, with the hope of getting out of Jim Crow and providing opportunities for their families. Well, my parents did that. I grew up on Long Island. My mom is from Georgia. She came from a family that did not own their land, that they picked cotton. She could pick over 200 pounds of cotton in a day herself. And my father grew up in Tennessee, Clarksville, Tennessee, and they were tobacco farmers. My grandfather owned the land and had been acquiring land. He was very shrewd, nothing on credit, absolutely nothing. No seed, no grain, no food, no school, nothing on credit. Everything paid or borrowed or we won't get it. So these were two people who came to New York, got married, and started a family. And I'm the daughter of those two folks. One thing I have here is a scripture, and it's on purpose, because both my grandmothers were very staunch believers. You have to think of a time when you could send your child to a big city. My grandmother, my father's side only really left Tennessee once, and that was when her child had cancer. She never left in that area. She had no knowledge of what beyond what she could read of what it was like. So you send them, there's no cell phone, there's no internet. The only thing you read is the newspaper, which you get information late in letters. That's how you get word. Calling was expensive and not everybody had phones. So you had to have some faith to kind of step out. I came to hear this talk at Duke, not this October, but last October. Dr. Kozel is pretty famous. He's the person that created Upward Bounds. He attended Harvard University. He's a Rhodes Scholar. And so I'm sitting in the audience. Both my sisters also have doctorate degrees, and they're both in education. So my sister's right above me, oh, Dr. Kozel, I didn't know he was still alive. She was like, oh, you have to go. So I go with the intention of getting a few books, one for my son's principal and one for myself. Well, I'm sitting in the audience and learning that one of the books that he's known for, which is it's Apartheid in Education, was based on my school. So I'm always being open to diverse perspectives can really broaden you. So this is my high school, and so on Long Island, and this is what it used to look like. It looked like this, they've redone it a little bit. And it is an underserved community. Roosevelt is 1 square mile. It originally was a Jewish community. When blacks started moving in, the Jewish people started moving out. There are several very famous people who went to my high school. Eddie Murphy, his brother, Public Enemy. In fact, Flavor went to my prom. Not with me. Not with me. He's at my table. KRS-One, Howard Stern, is like Julius Irving is from Roosevelt High School. So with the school, I looked at it, that was then, I looked at it today. If you have kids and you're familiar with grade schools, it's a website that you can get them information, including what kind of courses are offered, how the schools rank compared to the schools in this area, and maybe the school board. So you see the ranking is 10 is good, 1 is bad, 2. So, and yes, if you're African, if you've been watching the news, you've heard this story about the nooses. It was not the high school, it was the middle school, but yes, it's the same community where the teachers had the nooses on the wall. Did you guys see that on the news? It ran on CNN and NBC. These teachers are permanently on, this is recent, February 11th. I think it happened like the 4th or the 5th. So there's 3 white teachers and this predominantly black school, and they put this up as back to school. They call them back to school necklaces. But the point is to say that I've been away from there a long time, but not a lot has changed. So that's to give you an understanding of my high school experience. So you might say, well, what was it like to make the transition from that high school to Northeastern University, which is in Boston, and then later to NYU, Polytechnic University? University, that previously was Polytechnic University. Well, the one thing I didn't mention was my parents did things differently. When we were small, they put us in Christian school, parochial schools, Episcopal school. And this is a picture of the church. It's called Transfiguration Parish Day School. At the time, we were the only little few black kids in that program, very small class sizes, 6 to 7 kids in the class, very diverse in the types of topics we took. We took architecture, like Gothic art, architecture, and we studied French, and we did sewing, we wrote music. It was a very different environment. And my sister and I and a few other people I'm still in touch with today went through the program. And one key thing I think from that experience was every day we had 30 minutes of math. And although we never were confirmed, we learned for 30 minutes, we was people into meditation. On that 30 minutes, we got ourselves in the mindset to learn. I think it had a big impact. So even though when my parents divorced and we went to public school, and I ended up in Roosevelt public schools, and which was predominantly black, which I had never been in an all-black environment where students didn't love the teachers, like we loved our teachers, and to hear them like curse each out, fight, we didn't have that. But I feel like the foundation of that private school experience helped when I went to Northeastern because I knew how to exist in an environment where I was only like, Peter, I was like one of the few. And it was a great time when I went there. Many of the folks were almost all black students on scholarship. And I got in with the NSB group and learned I need to be in the study group. And these people became friends. Still friends with them today. I had a party recently and one of my friends came down from Boston to come. I was like, oh gosh, it's been so many years. But so NSB was very foundational to provide the social. It also provide the leadership things like, you go to the regional conferences, you hold positions, you get internships at NSB job fair. I got, a chance to learn about jobs and get internships, and it's real good to have an internship because it helps you get a job. And also lets you see the company. When you go in, you can learn about them. You can get stuff like pay scale information, from people. Well, if I came in at this, what would be the pay scale? So when you get ready to come in for a job, what you should say, how much do you know your worth? So much comes with that. So going back to when I got ready to, when I remember at Northeast my first year, my second year, I can't wait to get a job. I'm going to leave this. It's crazy why I do this. And because it was hard, like I didn't have help coming in. I did not have, our physics teacher quit mid-year. We had subs. So I did not have those things. And we didn't even have a computer at my high school. And people were writing basic and Pascal. Those were the languages then. And but by many ends, God oversends people, had some great professors who fell in love with electromagnetics, absolutely loved interior design, and just had an innate ability to, like, in class, he would be doing derivation, and he asked a rhetorical question, I answered him. And he said, Philip Seraphin, who needs from Greece, he said, you should go to graduate school. When I got ready, this school wasn't my choice. I was interested in Georgia Tech. I knew there was a large community of African American students. And I applied to Stony Brook in this school. Well, they called me and said, hey, come down. Because I didn't apply for the PhD program myself, I was doing a master's. And they said, hey, come down. And then not only did they say, we take you as a PhD candidate, we'll give you a funding. And you have a stipend. So the rest was history, and I ended up in that transition. So it's good to get money, and the only thing I would change is I would, there's some benefit in being a research assistant where you have to work with students to help you understand what it might be like if you were faculty. But I was a research fellow, so I didn't have to do that. I spent summers at places doing research like Hanson Air Force Base in Massachusetts. I didn't have to teach classes. So really, going from the program where I didn't know I know engineers or people who drove trains, in Long Island, people work in the city, they take the Long Island Railroad, and then there's these people, they actually pick up the outfit and someone in the front driving the subway, the train. And so I thought that's what an engineer was. I didn't know. So I took a leap of faith that this would be good. My high school teacher, Hamid Morandi, always talked about being an engineer, and I was in an engineering program in high school. So, but I took a leap of faith. But I left something that I knew. I didn't have any friends going with me to Boston to go, but it worked out. And then people say, well, tell me about your career journey. So when I finished graduate school, I realized, I looked at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory. I went in to do an interview for a research position. They offered me a postdoc. I went to, I looked at a postdoc at Stony Brook, and I was like, postdocs only get paid $40,000. I didn't have a mentor to say, go to a postdoc, do some independent research, publish by yourself, prepare yourself to track yourself into a tenure position. So I think it was mentioned in the bio. I was the first to graduate from my school in EE. School was founded in 1854. My whole team was from Taiwan. I was the only black person in the graduate program, period. There was only 2 women. It was an Asian woman and me. And she was EE as well. So it was just, it just didn't seem like a good path. Maybe if I had had a mentor or somebody who said, you know what, you should try the postdoc. It doesn't kill anything. It doesn't stop you from going in the industry. Well, I worked for a small company on Long Island. And because I was a NACME scholar, which is the National Action Council for Minorities in Engineering, I got an invitation to go to Crystal City, which I was like, I'm not buying a flight to go and get the plaque from them. My mother said, you should go. You just never know. So I got on the train, $5 and she helped me with the ticket. And I was always cost conscious. So she helped me with the ticket. And I went and I had a great opportunity. I met Coleman Powell. He is so he is just fit, just really it wasn't like, hey, oh, what's in here? No, it was like, so glad to meet you. Great, congratulations on your achievement. That was it, walking through the line. We had the line. It wasn't like I had a private audience. I wanted to make sure that's not what I'm doing. But I met so many people who I would never have met. And when I got home, I got a note from a guy named Nick Tenazio. And at the time, I was working for Peace Plant Energy, which was on Long Island. My father was ecstatic because blacks had never gotten a job, a desk job. They were always outside working, building, digging. He's like, you got a desk job. My father never went to college. He was like, you got a desk job. He was just so happy. And but when I got the invitation after time off from work, so when I came back, I was trying to give my manager a report of what it was like. And I showed him the note. It was a handwritten note. So he opened the Wall Street Journal and said, this is that guy. And so, my mother's an educator. She went back to school. So I know all about K-12 education, certification. She held superintendent level. She was a district hearing officer for the superintendent, so I know all about that. I've seen how you sue the district. I've seen all of that. But I never had the corporate experience. So he was selling shares and it made the paper. So I wrote him a note and said, I greatly appreciate you taking time to send me this personal email. I'd love to know if I didn't have a place for me. My phone started ringing. He never reached back out to me. It's like, hey, we're from, I went to the West Coast, I went to Yorktown, I came to RTP, and when I came here, I said, this area has a social environment. I want to get married, I want to, meet people. Yorktown was cool, they had all these people who received all these awards. But when I saw them having tea and bundled up in sweaters, there was no athletic field, I said, you know what? This is not going to attract young people, not going to have opportunity for social. So I said, you know what? Even though it's Yorktown, I'm not going to do it. I took the job here, and I enjoyed it. I learned a lot of things in that career, in that time there, different kinds of jobs, made friends, helped perform different things for the company, like the PhD fatality movement. So few of us that those were efforts and things like So I enjoyed my time on it. It worked out because I did meet my husband at IBM. He was a computer science guy. And so that part worked out. But then, like, you know, I spent a long time there, and it's a very competitive environment. It's a very stressful environment. And you learn a lot, but it is an environment that's, you know, tough for women. And we just say, since being taped is just tough. And you know, thinking about doing other things, I started interviewing. I interviewed with Amazon. It was a real good position. I viewed, and it was a very high-level position where I had to be with my family. I got a call from USA Recruiter. I did not know who USA was. So I'm on the phone with the recruiter, and I'm looking, and I'm searching. And I'm like, getting ready to say, I'm not interested in. She said, I see you have a lot of patents. He said, I see you have a lot of patents. Have you seen this ability to take a picture of a check and deposit it? I said, yes. He said, the manager that's hiring for this position, he wrote that. He was on the team, that was his idea. Really? So I said, what is his name? So now I switched from searching about USA, who they are, what they do, to go to, I'm with the recruiter, and I'm in the database, and he's like, can we have a phone call with you? So I pulled this guy's patent, I'm reading about him and everything. So I said, okay. So I had a phone interview, and I get an invitation to go to Texas. And so I'm like, this job's in Texas. I know I don't want to move my family. My son is in the school. We've been looking at that school before he was even conceived. We knew that that was a good place. We wanted to try it, and we got in that school. But when I went to Texas, they treated me so. It's like, I think the mid-hiring manager really went through a lot, you know. But the first time I got off, I saw the lady with the, you know, she was in a little tuxedo thing with my name, and I gave this big black car. She's opening the door, and she's like, Dr. Lyle, and I was like, yes, you know, because I had, you know, interview for IBM, you get a phone call and drive yourself to the building. It was no car. So, but I talked with, his name is Chuck Oates. He'll probably see this video. I talked with him, and I ended up on USA. He pitched to me this notion of a company being mission-driven versus being driven by stock price. And that thing touched me because I looked at the mission. I said, oh my God, it's almost like scripture, integrity and service and honor that you deal with people. So that's how I ended up at USA. And even till today, I love my job. My manager he's no longer my manager, he's retired, but I love my job and I love USA. It's a great place to work. We might be running out of time. So I would just say that it was not all smooth sailing, there was ups and downs, but I just tried to have tenacity and flexibility. You know, I studied electromagnetics. I do not do electromagnetics. I don't do antenna design. I learned something new. And you go into place, you got to move on. I'm telling you, learn the edge computing now. How it be applicable, you just got to be flexible. So this is just a summary, like, of it. If you know, now at this age, you guys are still young, you have like a life. I'm young too, but I realize I'm at an age I have to think about what happens when I leave here. So, you know I've done a lot in terms of being a thought leader. I know I've had a career, but I'm going to be remembered for being like a Christian servant leader. Somebody who did stuff because it was the right thing to do, whatever environment I'm in. If I'm the team mom, yes. We did win the Mayor's Cup. And yes, my son has played on the All-Star team for 3 years in a row and coming forth in the state. And yes, he's an all-around player. But I'm just saying, whatever way I serve, we try to make people tell us our team has community experience. We really do. So to me, the things that are important to remember are those things and what I can do for my family in talks like this. I just want to mention I'm rushing because I know we're out of time, but I just want to mention that there's some swag from USA that I reached out to HR. They were super excited to know that we had a chance to speak at Duke, even though it's a personal talk. And so I said, hey, any internship? So they set this up especially for you guys. So if you will text, they'll send you a link. And from that link, you can upload your resume. Of course, they're looking for computer science and data analytics, actuaries, people in financial services too. If you're not sure, submit. It doesn't cost you to submit, and you will say pays for it. So I'll leave that up, and then the next slide was just question and answer. I think we're out of time for question and answers. I'm not sure. Okay. So we can transition right into question and answers. Yes. So when I finished the PhD, I was thinking about faculty. So the NSF had this like early faculty program, and I went to University of Wisconsin. I met a lady there who was at Motorola, who was also completing her PhD. She ended up coming to IBM too, and she was working in the print division, and she was like, I know you know electromagnetic, can you help me design a cavity to dry paper that as it passes from one ink drop to the next? And so I was like, oh, I don't know, I could had access to these tools that let you simulate electromagnetic structures. And so I was like, I could do that. And so that was how the first introduction to patents. And then from there, I just started like trying to understand what a patent is. It's not novel, it's not obvious, and it's useful. And I started going to these patent review boards. I would go so much to ask me to be on the board, and I was like, really, want me to be on the board? It was strictly like a hardware board, and I was like, oh, not like I don't care about designing chips and stuff. But I learned the process, and that's how I started. And in the end, I was like, I would run boards, like enterprise level boards, and we had fellows, we had high level technical board, and like telling the fellow like, no, it's not patentable, or so I learned. But that's how it all started.
We'll have more time if you'd like to speak with her afterwards.
Thank you guys so much.